Hello everyone. Today we shall discuss the story of Tess of the D Arbor village from the chapter 10th. In the previous chapter, we have come to know that Tess was living at Trentridge, working in the house of Alec, and she was happy doing her job. There was a decayed market town known as Chaseboro. It was situated 2 or 3 miles away from Trentridge. The people living around Trentridge, all the men and women, they used to go in the evening of every Saturday to that place, Chaseboro, for their marketing and some enjoyment. And in the next early hours, they came back to Trentridge. In the beginning, Tess did not go to Chaseboro, but after some months, she went there for the first time and she experienced the enjoyment more than she had expected. After that, she went there regularly. Then one Saturday in the month of September, Tess was ready to go to Chaseboro and ultimately she reached there late. Soon her marketing was over and she wanted to go back to Trentridge. She was searching some villagers, her neighbors, to go back with them to Trentridge. While she was searching, she met Alec. Alec told her that soon he would meet her again. Tess waited for her neighbors and she found that her neighbors and villagers were engaged in dancing. So she waited and at last the villagers and her neighbors were ready to go back to Trentridge, and it was quarter past 11 o'clock in the night. All the men and women gathered at a place. Then they started their journey to Trentridge. In the group, there were women, men of all ages. There were two women, particularly Car Darch, who was known as Queen of Spades, and her sister Nancy, who was known as Queen of Diamonds. They were also in that group. Card Arch was leading that group and she was carrying a basket on her head, and in that basket there were some eatables. Since she was leading, So all the other people were walking behind her. So one of the women found that from the basket of car darts something was creeping down on her back from head to waist. Actually, it was treacle, a liquid eatable, and they started laughing at the awkward appearance on the back of car darts. Actually, it was looking just like a snake on her back. So, one after another, they started laughing at car darts. Soon, the laughter became louder and louder, and car darts noticed that there was something wrong, and she turned back. As she turned back, she found Tess in front of her, who was also laughing. That made car darts very angry, and a quarrel between the two started. As the fight was to start, Tess told that she would not fight, and she felt so humiliated and embarrassed that she wanted to get away from that crew at any cost and as soon as possible. Soon, Alec came there on a horse, and he offered the help to Tess, and he told Tess that jumped on the back of a horse, and as we know that that kind of offer was made many times earlier by Alec, but most of the times Tess refused that kind of offer or help. But that situation is quite different. She was so much embarrassing, and was so she was wanting to get away from that group of people at any cost, and she got that chance from Alec, and soon she decided to go with him, and she jumped on the back of horse, and soon they Alec and Tess went away from that place. As they went away, one of the women from that group remarked that Tess had jumped from the frying pan into fire, and subsequent events proved this observation true. Tess expressed her gratitude to Alec for saving her from an ugly and embarrassing situation. And Alec, took this opportunity of talking to Tess. Tess, sorry, Alec asked Tess. Both were riding on the back of horse. Remember, both. And Alec asked Tess, "Why didn't you allow me to come closer to you and enjoy your company?" Tess replied that actually she did not like him and loved him. Their conversation about small matters continued for some time, and they continued their ride without realizing that they had strayed onto a wrong path. Alec did not care about the time and the place as he was enjoying the company of Tess. At this time, Tess realized that they had been riding longer than they should have. Actually, they have traveled a long distance. So Tess was realizing that something was wrong, and she wished to be let down so that she might walk home alone. But it was about 1 o'clock in the night. It was forest. It was night. It was cold night. So Alec could not leave her alone at that time. But realizing Tess' anger, he offered to go and find out where they were and how they could reach their destination. Actually, Alec himself did not know at that time where they were. He let down Tess, jumped down himself, and asked Tess to keep an eye on the horse while he was away. Actually, he told Tess that he wanted to go to search or find out the path to Tentridge. In the meantime, he told Tess to look an eye to keep an eye on horse, and when he would return, then he would tell her about the path to Tentridge, and then it will depend upon Tess whether she would go alone on foot or she would go with Alec. As we know, Tess was very tired because throughout the day she had worked. She walked from Tentridge to Chaseborough. She waited for several hours there, and then she also walked from Chaseborough to the place where she went away with Alec. So throughout the day she did not take any rest, and that's why she was very much tired. It was cold. Alec offered his jacket to Tess and she wore it. Wearing the jacket, she lay down on the ground on the heaps of leaves also, and while Alec was leaving that place to find out the path, he informed Tess that on that particular day, her family has received a horse. Remember, her family has received a horse, and the children of her family, they had received some toys also. And giving that information, he went away. And when after some time, when he came back, he found that Tess was sleeping on the ground. She was sleeping on the ground. She was alone. She was helpless. No one was there. It was night. So Alec decided to take the advantage of the loneliness and helplessness of Tess, and he came closer to Tess, and nobody came to save Tess from the clutches of Alec. In this way, here is the end of 11th chapter and phase 1, the maiden. Thank you.